Well, welcome to a very special episode of Fade to Obsidian. We are here with Jenna, who is one of the voice actresses of you're in a few things. You're in the graphic audio, versions of the book, as well as the Sons of Ares. So welcome.
Yeah, in the Sons of Ares, on the third Sons of Ares mainly. Yeah.
Third Sons of Ares. I love it. Well,
Which is out today.
welcome. Yes.
Go buy it.
Yes.
Go buy it, everybody.
Yeah, we're recording this in June. This is gonna drop later, so go out wherever you are. Go out wherever you are and purchase it. But yeah, that's very exciting. Yeah, thanks for joining us for today.
Very welcome. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, so you don't have a howler name as of yet, but when this comes out, my guess is that you will, because you won Hazard Bedlam.
Well, me and my hamster share that honour. Yeah, I wasn't going to take part in Hazard Bedlam, but somebody kindly sent me some stickers from the US, so I thought I'm going to have to put these to use, and thought I'd exploit the cuteness of my little hamster, who I'm hoping will get a howler name as well. Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
I bet you.
Howler name will be better than mine as well.
It's true. True. Pierce will go all in. I don't know. It'll be interesting because the only time I've seen Pierce give out howler names in the past has been like on Twitter, and they're just completely random. Of just like
he probably has like a generator thing. You just like type.
Yeah.
It's just like chat API, whatever it is.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see if he ends up tailoring it based on your entry or how that's gonna go. So.
Yeah, like I don't know if you saw, but they said send a link to your post in an email so that they can use it to figure out your name.
I did do that, but yeah. But what happens to that? Because some of the people in the den won as well, so they've already got howler names. So how's that going to work? Does the Pierce howler name usurp the den?
Yeah, there's been discussions before, so I don't know the specific people who won what they're gonna do, but I know there's discussions before we went in of people using it as a call sign, or you get two in the same way that Darrow is both the Reaper and Icarus. So you could be like two, or some people are like, nope, screw it, I'm going by the Pierce name and that's it, and I'm gonna like.
Depends what it is. It does depend what it is. It could be terrible.
That's true. Yeah.
Or just have the Pierce name for like special occasions, like everyday name and the special occasions.
Like parade name.
for the triumph.
Yeah.
I love it.
The name for the outside of your box.
Or your space shuttle.
Hopefully not filled with heads.
Oh, dark. I have a random tail behind you.
Yeah.
Oh, I have ghost dogs.
Just two puppies.
They will blend in and out of the background as they wander around.
Oh, see, I'd bring Flora on, but she's actually incredibly antisocial, and I can't actually really get her out and handle her. She's very, very skittish, so otherwise I'd present her to the den. Yeah.
Well, and I also have, there may be a cat that joins us. Every once in a while, my cat will jump up, knock over the books, and proceed to the window beside me, so we shall see.
Weird floating books.
Yes. Yeah.
A resident magician.
It's funny how many times I've been on voice comms in the den, and I've had to explain how these work, that people are like, okay, but how are they just there? And it's like, there's a bookshelf under them. It's very thin, but it's there. Yeah. So we kind of introduced you a little bit, but do you want to give a little bit more of who you are, what you do, as well as we always ask, what you're drinking?
Okay. Well, my name's Jenna Sharpe. I'm a voice actor, although I've sort of flitted between doing stuff on camera and off camera. But I tend to prefer voiceover because you can play characters that you don't always look like you can play with voiceover. You can, whereas on TV and film you're kind of restricted with the face that you have, whereas I can play, little kids or monsters or stuff. So I really like that about the voiceover world. I've been doing it for a few decades now. I get to do a lot of fun stuff like games and animation and audio drama, but actually a lot of my work is a lot less sexy. It's doing sort of corporate things and e-learning, any boring health and safety, diversity training courses that you've been made to go on, I might have voiced a few of those. I'm so sorry.
So
I try and
funny.
go through them as quickly as possible, but it's like it might be me. Or if you get caught speeding as well, probably less in America, but in the UK, I do a few like speed awareness courses, things like that. Phone
Really?
systems, like if you book a table at a restaurant, you might hear my voice. So yeah, they're the kind of jobs that like you don't really post about on social media because they're
Yeah.
not that interesting, but not as interesting as Red Rising, obviously, which is
The
by far my
ones that pay the
favourite.
bills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's the secret of being a voiceover is cultivating a
Yeah.
sustainable career and having lots of eggs in baskets and yeah,
Yeah.
not just relying on the fun stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah,
How did?
the graph. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go. No, go on. Go on.
But yeah, the graphic audio relationship came about actually over COVID because I either approached them just before COVID or during COVID, and before that they were not that receptive to using voice actors from outside the United States. Um, in fact, I think they may have even just been using people in like the Washington area. But the one good thing about COVID was that if you were a voice actor that had a good quality home recording setup, suddenly, because all the studios were closed and they couldn't open, you're like,
Yeah.
you were popular, and as long as it was a good quality sort of space to record in. So yeah, that worked to my advantage, and I got sort of on their radar because of that. Had to go through quite a rigorous. Before I go on, I have to say
Yeah.
I'm not an official employee of Graphic Audio.
Oh, yes.
All views are my own. It's like they're worried I'm going to say something embarrassing or offensive, but yeah, I'm just a freelance voice actor, and I'm here just as me, as Jenna, but happy to talk about anything to do with graphic audio. But yeah, I had to go through quite a rigorous audition process to work with them, which was assessing obviously your ability to act and take direction and do different genres and different accents and things, but also they were assessing your audio quality because it's all done remotely. And also your ability to kind of be your own sound engineer as well, because with these remote recorded sessions, you have to do what's called riding the gain. So in one scene, you might be having an intimate conversation with someone, and then suddenly you need to shout, or there's a battle, or you die, or something. So you need to be like twiddling the gain as you're acting, so you don't blow the eardrums of the director that's on the other end of the phone. So we have to be sort of our own sound engineers as well as, and it's the same for any harsh sounding words, anything with a P or a D, you get that plosive sound, so you have to sort of go slightly off axis or off the mic axis, or these are all sort of techniques that you become second nature when you've been doing it a while, but they're all things that sort of mark a professional against someone that's not been doing it so long, and they're little things that people perhaps don't realise because they just hear the finished product, which is all polished by the audio elves that make us sound amazing.
That is
part of the job now, is being your own sound engineer.
That's very fascinating. I love that.
Yeah, it's got to be quite the balancing act, running the knob and also reading your lines or doing all that.
Yep.
Yeah, and being emotionally attached. You posted a picture the other day of recording Golden Sun, and you just weeping, which so that must be.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was a filter. There's like the crying filter, right? And I was like, yeah, it's a real thing.
Yep.
And I was like,
that's
wow.
partly because we're having a bit of a heat wave here at the moment as well. So it is unbearably hot in my booth, which is literally right next to me here. It was hot. But yeah, there was a lot of ugly crying in Golden Sun, especially at the end.
Yes. So how did you get involved in like any audio recording? Is it just something you fell into, something you wanted to do for a while, or?
I'm going to show my age here, but you may remember a game called Final Fantasy VIII.
Yes.
It had no voices. It was just silent. it was weird. Like, it was a great game, but you just had subtitles on. So I was obsessed with this game as a teenager, and I sort of was on all the Final Fantasy forums and like geeking out, and people were doing fan dubs of the characters from Final Fantasy, and so I thought, oh, that sounds fun. I'll have a go at that. So I got my crappy, plastic USB mic and sort of started voice acting essentially, and it sort of became a hobby, and there was sort of quite a vibrant amateur voice acting community, because this was again at a time when the technology to record from your home was pretty basic, and terrible quality microphones that you get from, I don't know, Radio Shack. Does Radio Shack still exist? I don't know, we don't have that here, but
we used to. I'm trying to think
like,
of it.
I don't know, it's been like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
It was that kind of era for me. But yeah, that's how I kind of got into it, and then I got scouted to do a video game called Aquaria that did quite well, that won Best Independent Game at GDC in San Francisco. So I got to go to San Francisco and accept an award, and that was my first kind of main role in kind of anything. My first main professional role, and it went on to win an award, which was kind of cool. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was such a noob, and it's just funny because I've got so much training now and so much experience under my belt, yet I look back on that time doing that game when I didn't know anything, and yet the performance was still appreciated. So it's like sometimes, you can just overthink things, and
Right.
I think because I didn't know any better, I did a good performance. But yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then I just sort of started. I've always wanted to do acting, but I come from quite a sort of traditional family, and they were like, get a proper job. And to some extent, my parents are still like that now. They don't really understand what I do. Like, I try to explain to them, but I don't think they really understand.
That's funny. Oh, they don't listen or anything? You haven't introduced them to Red Rising in order to traumatize them?
No, I've introduced my sister though. She's read the first book. She's on Golden Sun now, and so we can finally have conversations, and I can use words like gory damn and prime with her, so she'll actually know what I'm saying.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is hard to get people to read books though. I mean, yeah, it's that's why audio dramas exist, I guess, because it's just much easier to listen to things than read things, and you can listen to it in the car and
for sure
at work and stuff. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, even personally, like, I work in a bookstore. I have books, thousands of them that I own just over the years of accumulating, but right now it's only pretty much audio that I am taking it in by, because just driving, doing whatever, I'm doing something else, and it's just I'll throw it on. Rather than like my attention is just almost not there when I have to actually sit and read and be like, what do you mean I'm not looking at my phone or doing whatever? So I totally get it. That
you run a howler's den. That's like a full-time job.
It's a special place in there.
It is.
It's a lot of fun.
I'm still exploring all the different rooms. It's great.
Yes. Yeah, it's so much. Yeah, thanks for. I love that you not only joined us, but you've kind of jumped in full, head on, and it's fabulous.
Oh yeah, I'm in the cult for sure.
Oh
yeah. For legal purposes, it's not a cult.
It's not a cult.
It's not a cult.
It could be a church, though. We could get.
We've discussed this. Can we get? Yeah, can we do that? Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
I think even if I wasn't lucky enough to be playing, did I even say that? I'm playing Mustang.
Yeah, we just glossed it over.
No, I don't think so.
I play Mustang. Even if I wasn't lucky enough to play her, I think I'd still, if I discovered the books, I'd be a huge fan of them. Mm-hmm. And in fact, when I told this story in the den briefly, but I was originally asked to audition for EO.
Okay.
And they sort of, it was Dave Fernandez, who's the director of Red Rising, who I've never worked with before, actually, in graphic audio. He asked me to audition for EO and sing a bit of the Forbidden Song as well. And then, as part of that, he sent a link to the Red Rising fandom Wikipedia thing, which is really good. There's so much information.
Oh, yeah.
It's really useful. And I sort of just started reading about about the books and the character, and I was just sort of really intrigued by the color system and the sort of the Roman sort of influences and things. So I need to have a good cough. 1 second.
Yeah.
I had a horrible thing last week. I almost lost my voice, which for a voice actor is kind of a problem.
Yeah, seems important.
Yeah, kind of. But then I realised that EO dies, quite early on in the book. And, so I just having a look at some of the other characters that were still alive, and came across this character called Virginia. And the more I read about her, the more I just thought, she sounds really, really interesting. And I felt like a kind of connection with her. And I thought, maybe I could do a good job playing her. So I sent my EO audition off, and then I said to Dave, I saw this other character. Do you think I could maybe audition for her as well? And he emails me back and says, no. So I was like, it was a polite no, but it was still a no.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear anything back. And then I got the part of EO, which was great. And then a few weeks later, Dave emails me and says, would I still be interested in auditioning for Mustang? And I was like, I'll check my busy schedule. Yes, of course I would. And the rest is history, as they say. I was kind of hoping they'd let me play both characters, but that's just greedy, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and so with the difference between the two, and you do play, do you play multiple people in graphic audio, or just because you play more in the Sons of Ares, right? We've talked, you did Harmony and Young Nero. So if
I can also reveal I'm playing Lysander as a 10-year-old. And that was like a part I wasn't even sure I wanted.
That's right.
I was like, oh god, I have to be this little
brat. Yeah. Oh dear.
But yeah,
that's great.
I auditioned for that as well. So like, yeah, that's the weird thing with Red Rising, though.
More punchable voice.
More punchable voice.
Do you get to make yourself just have the most punchable?
I sort of imagine him slightly like Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
like
that's a
that,
good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to audition for that. They don't just. Sometimes I just get given roles, but with Red Rising, all the main characters had to submit auditions, which is actually more unusual. I think I haven't had to audition for that many stuff because they know me so well at graphic audio, and they know the voices I can do, and there's various samples that they've got. But yeah, for this Red Rising thing, we all had to audition, which sort of made me think, oh, this is a special project, or the authors really sort of wanting to be quite sort of hands-on with it, which I think is great because I mean, I would be if it was my book. I'd be like totally micromanaging everything. Like,
definitely kind of keeps the artistic vision as a narrow.
I'm surprised how some people can do that. Like, they can just give their book to someone else and trust that they'll do it justice. But but graphic audio do a good job with everything that they do, really.
Yeah. So then you have to get into, and again, we briefly talked about this, but you have to get in the mindset of each person. So you said a really interesting thing about Harmony, because she is notoriously, I would say, the most hated. Lysander at least has apologists out there.
Oh yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
Yeah, but Harmony I don't think does. But you had a very interesting take on kind of having to not judge your character. Can you comment more on that one?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's important when you play a character that on the face of it is quite different to you. Say an evil character that does things that you think, oh god, that's terrible. I think it's important to try and imagine what would have had to happen to make them do that, or what would have had to happen in your own life to make you turn out that way. Because we're all products of our environment, and we all have capacity, I think, for good and evil. And you have to, when you're playing a character like Harmony, although in Sons of Ares she doesn't do anything that particularly evil. But if you are playing a sort of a stereotypical evil character, you've got to try and make their actions make sense in some way, and you've got to do a bit of a psychological dive into sort of why that behaviour makes sense to them. And you can usually find good justifications. Like maybe they've lost someone they love, or they've had some trauma, or they just don't know any better, or this you'd be surprised how much you'll find that you have in common with even the darkest characters if you
Interesting.
are willing to sort of look. And I always do with most characters I play. I look at the ways I'm similar to them and the ways that I'm different to them.
Yeah.
So with Mustang, like, she's a lot less emotional than I am. Like, she's much more stoic than I am. So I have to remember that when I'm experiencing something that she's experiencing, she wouldn't cry as much like as I would probably cry. She doesn't like crying. But there's ways in which we're similar. Like, we're both students of psychology. Like, my background is in psychology. I didn't go to drama school. I did 2 psychology degrees, and I feel like we have that in common, that we're both sort of fascinated by what makes people tick. And she's a bit more manipulative about it than I am. She admits to enjoying manipulating people and situations and things.
She can definitely play a room, for sure, that we see in multiple cases. Yeah.
And they're such a good pairing, aren't they? Like Darrow and Mustang, they just complement each other so well. And another thing she's excellent at, which a lot of women are, is like she'll have a conversation with Darrow and like use some metaphors or analogies, or like just be talking to him, and then next thing you know, he's adopted kind of what she's just said, but she makes him think that it was his idea. It's like, women do that all the time. I
love it.
Yeah, it was totally your idea.
Yeah, good work. You thought that one through. Yeah, so funny.
You drop the leash, and it's like, yes, that was in fact yours.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite line that she says off the top of your head?
Oh.
Or one that's fun to,
whenever
like...
she says gory damn. Like, I love that word, gory damn. When she presents Pliny's eye, that's quite funny.
Yeah.
He always had his eye on me, so I took one of his. I love that.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
What else? She's quite funny, though. Like, I really wanted to bring that side of Mustang out, because she is funny. Like, funny in a different way to Severo and some of the other characters, but she's still quite funny. And I think sometimes in books, like, the female heroine can sometimes be a bit sort of, I don't know, a bit bland or lacking in personality, or or too perfect or something. So I really like that she's got that sort of wit and sense of fun and humour as well. Although in Golden Sun, I feel like in the first book she starts off quite serious and a bit arrogant, because she's playing a game and doesn't perhaps realise that House Mars has had it a lot worse than House Minerva, and she's sort of trying to be that leader of House Minerva. But then when she sort of gets with Darrow in the cave, you see the sort of softer side of her and the warmer side of her, and her sense of humour comes out. But then in Golden Sun, it's like, it's sort of back to being sort of a bit of sadness again for her. I feel like she spends a lot of time being sad in that book. So it's a bit of a roller coaster with, like,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and then moving forward, and I don't know, because I feel like when they announced the graphic audio of Red Rising, it was kind of like, even the way Pierce said it, it's like, we'll see if there's more, and then we've got now Golden Sun. So do we know if there'll be more coming out? Because then you'll get much bigger parts if it continues on into especially Dark Age.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'm pretty sure we're doing Morning Star. I have not been told otherwise. I'm pretty sure, unless something terrible happens. But yeah, no, they've been well received, which is good, and rightly so, because Dave's done a great job on them. And I'm looking forward to Morning Star. Well, bits of it, not that bit, but the sad bit. But
as with all Pierce books.
Which bit?
Which sad part? Yeah.
Whole bloody book. Yeah. But yeah, Dark Age. I'd be lying if I said I was looking forward to doing that one, because that's going to be intense.
Rough.
Also, because when I first read Dark Age, I knew that there was like shit happens in it, like dark things. I didn't know necessarily what they were or whereabouts in the book they were, and I knew that there was a day of red doves, but I didn't know what happened. And I was trying to avoid spoilers as well, so I kind of read Dark Age quite quickly, like to just rip off the band-aid and get all the trauma over and just quickly. And so I feel like I need to reread both Iron Gold and Dark Age now that I know what happens and
what's happening,
deal with it with my get some therapy.
That
you assigned a buddy when you read those books, like you need a therapy buddy or like an emotional support animal or something, you know.
Yes.
To, like, just stroke when it gets, when times are stressful.
That's what we joked about in the den a whole bunch, is that everybody who hadn't read Dark Age was gonna read it during the reread so that they could have an emotional support den.
Yeah.
We need an emotional support Sophocles.
Yes, that's it. Well, my ongoing thing as well is I've discovered that my therapist has not read them, but her husband has. So I'm like slowly laying the groundwork of like, you should also read this because
trying to indoctrinate another Howley. I love it.
Yeah, just for like, but it would be good for my
therapist.
Like, good for your therapy.
Exactly. It's like I don't really care whether or not she does.
Like Lysander, like today.
Yeah.
Today I'm feeling like Adra. I just want to kill something.
Yeah, like come on, just help me work through certain chapters, and send her to therapy as well. That's always also my ongoing joke is you're winning therapy when your therapist needs therapy. So. But yeah, I know.
Interesting way of looking at it. But you've got the advanced copy of Lightbringer, haven't you?
Yes. So we have both completed Lightbringer at this. Yes.
Oh, you finished it. Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we are trying to remain tight-lipped about it. But we thought it would be fun do you have, and we'll remain poker face. We've been very good about remaining poker face in the den for this. Do you have predictions? Anything that you want to see in Lightbringer?
Well, I'd like to see Lysander get bitch slapped by Pax, probably. That'd be good. I think there'll be some kind of face-off between those two, like the Mind's Eye versus the Psycho Spikes and the Pandemonium Chair. I still don't really understand how all those work. Again, I need to reread them. But, and I'm really not sure what's going to happen with the Obsidians and like Volga and I've forgotten his name,
Volsung.
Yeah. And the prediction from, oh my god, his name escapes me. The prediction from the
Osgard.
Osgard's prediction. Like, is that just a red herring, or are we supposed to take that literally? Is that Pierce just trying to mess with our minds? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Pierce is he puts so many things in that they could all come true. They might not. Who knows? He's usually pretty good about. He lives by the mantra of don't introduce a gun to the scene if there's no point in the gun, or if you're not going to use it. That. So it's always interesting, but
is analyzing everything now.
Oh my god!
Somebody picked up this.
Yeah. And we still have a different book after this one. So things that, might not have happened in Lightbringer might happen in Red God. And it's like, I don't know. I'm still waiting for something that we totally all disregarded from, Golden Sun or something. And then it's like,
the Pegasus
reappearance. Some character that just was walking by becomes like a man. I was having this conversation with Salem about Mrs. Augustus.
Yes.
Mustang's stepmom.
Yeah.
I want to know if she ever makes an appearance, because she's still alive and she's like one of the last Augustuses left.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that back and forth and I was like, oh yeah.
I was like, well, you guys probably know. I'm trying to read your facial expressions, but you're very poker faced.
Pierce called me a regular silver.
Yes.
And then gave me a silver name. Yeah. So
yes, I saw that the guest appearance with Pierce.
Yeah.
That was great. He answered those questions so well. Like when you were asking him, like, what would be your everyday superpower, and he just comes up with something off the top of his head. I would need an hour to think about what mine would be.
I have a going theory that, like, yes, his books are fantastic. We love the source material, but I think the reason we've all, as a fandom, bonded to them is because he is such a good, like, person to, you just want to be his friend, and you want to, you see how he interacts and the way he can give these full out backgrounds and just all of that, and wants to interact with the fandom. It's a very rare thing in literature to have all of that coming together. I mean,
he's
he
extremely charismatic.
Yeah, he's got a political science background, so that's where it's coming from. But
he doesn't really come to my side of the.
No, there was a post. Someone asked if he will be doing Europe, on, I think it was on Lit Escalate. So it wasn't Pierce who said it, but I think Joel said something about there's rumblings. So we'll see. But because he did for Morningstar and Iron Gold, he went at least to England, and I think up to Scotland. He didn't really do the rest of Europe, but you have a chance of then.
That's fine, I don't care.
Yeah, who cares about the rest of them? We just need England, yeah. But so
and
perhaps
he's going to this convention in the middle of nowhere. Tulsa,
yeah,
is it?
Tulsa.
I couldn't even point that out.
It's Oklahoma.
Oklahoma,
right. So just above Texas. I know.
Is it nice though?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's hot.
Yeah.
That's about all I know.
Now I'm just thinking of the musical Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be interesting. He's only got one Canadian date on the tour, which I'm sure Crescent is not pleased with. Though you're going to Tulsa, Crescent.
I mean,
so.
yeah, I'm going to be camping.
Yeah,
the weekend and half the week before Tulsa, so I probably wouldn't have made it anyway.
But
I'm leaving my house on Saturday, going camping until Tuesday or Wednesday. I haven't decided yet. Probably Tuesday, and then driving 24 hours, like 24 hours of moving time to get to Tulsa in time for HowlerCon.
Yeah.
You could...
And then I have to drive 24 hours home.
Wow.
I tried to tell him that planes exist, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't take a plane from
camping. Reduce your carbon footprint or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I will have... Well, now I've extended it, so I think in the end I'll be driving for 18 hours, but I'm Toronto area, so I will actually see him. This is where I'm like... testing if we're going to get blacklisted, because I'm going from... I'll see him in Toronto on the Monday. Then I drive to Chicago, which is 9 hours. See him in Chicago on the Tuesday. And then drive down on the Wednesday and see him on the Thursday in Tulsa.
So you are stalking the author. Okay.
It is.
Hey, it's only stalking if it's not publicly available.
Exactly. All the information was public knowledge. Technically, I knew about the Toronto signing before anyone else, just because I do work for that company. Disclaimer on that one. But it came out public knowledge like a week later. It was fine.
Oh yeah, no, I'd love to get my book signed. I've pre-ordered Lightbringer. I got one of the Goldsboro editions.
Ooh,
so,
yeah.
Very nice.
Only because somebody in the Facebook group posted it. I wouldn't have known they existed, and I jumped on it and managed to get one. But I've never owned a signed book, and I've never even pre-ordered a book before. So I've never really been interested in a book series so much as I am with this one, and it's kind of spoiled other books for me now because I can't find anything else that I like as much.
Yeah, that's awesome though. Yeah, you're opening a can of worms though. The next step is owning like 6 copies of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen the various collector's editions and tattoos. Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, Crescent's got Red Rising tattoos.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
No, people did some cool things for House of Bedlam that were very dedicated, like getting tattoos and eating snakes and all sorts of stuff. I just exploited my hamster. So.
Yeah. There you go. I'm just seeing whether or not I think we've actually run through most of the things we were thinking because this this conversation's just
Very
flowing.
comprehensive answer to
I know.
who are you?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to know? What's your favorite?
What are you drinking?
Bit?
Yeah, what are you drinking? We never went back to that one.
Orange squash. Yeah, very.
Oh, you're gonna have to explain squash though to Americans.
Oh, it's like. Oh, what do you call it?
We don't really have it over in North America.
Concentrated orange stuff that you put water in and it creates squash.
Yeah.
And it made like
kind of.
Is it like a juice or a crystal? Like, is it a powder that you mix in?
No, it's just a concentrated liquid that you dilute.
I'm trying to think.
It's like Mio.
Yes, I was gonna say. What did I used to add to vodka and just add straight vodka? That's Mio. That's what it is.
Skipper, what are you drinking?
I actually themed it. So this is a beer. I think my first beer of the podcast. It's called Surround Sound.
Oh, nice.
By the company is Collective Arts, so they always have different artists make their beer cans. And I'm not even gonna lie, this was not. They're local to me, so I own a bunch, and their number one beer they sell is called Audio Visual. So I went into my fridge trying to find Audio Visual, and in the end came out with Surround Sound, and I was like, oh, that also works. That seems.
I like those names.
Yeah, they have some good ones. They have Stranger Than Fiction, Life in the Clouds. Yeah, they're just good beer all around too. All right, Preston, what do you have?
Well, I warned Skipper about this pun, but I would make a terrible voice actor because I've got Lefroy in my throat.
Oh no.
Oh,
very
God.
Good. What even is that? I don't know. What type
it's Scotch.
Scotch. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a big Scotch.
I know nothing about alcohol.
I am the resident all the whiskey person.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you're the resident alcoholic, but no. Hopefully not.
I feel like that's a lot of people in the den, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hence the den dunk.
If I'm an alcoholic, I'm at least functioning.
It's a coping mechanism, yeah.
Yeah. Hence the den dunk taking off. Even though I was trying to convince people, there's a few folks who are either underage or just don't drink. I was trying to convince them into ginger beer because I did a Dark and Stormy, which is ginger beer and rum. And ginger beer was actually pretty good for it. So I'm just throwing it out there that, like, you don't have to dunk your Oreos in alcohol. You could use some interesting. I don't think squash would be good, but some other things. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate would be very good. Yeah.
That's just like
yeah. I feel
very
like
safe choice.
Very safe choice. Herbal tea. I feel like mix it up, see what it is. But yeah, the ginger beer. It's got an interesting kick to it. But yeah. So here's a question of when you record, are you solo all the time, or if there's back and forth dialogue, how are you recording that?
So the director is in my headphones feeding me the lines. So that's Dave in this case, and obviously it would be lovely if we could all be in the same room and be sort of bouncing off each other. I particularly think that scene in the chapter called, is it The Dance or A Dance, where Mustang and Darrow are, like, Mustang goes to his quarters and they have that sort of banter with the practice razor, and there's I would have loved to have done that with Stuart, the guy that plays Darrow, like play off each other. You'd get that great rhythm and stuff, but yeah, because we're all in different places around the world, and it would be just too expensive, I think, to hire a studio and get us all together. And the guy that plays Adrius as well, he lives only a few towns over from me, so I sort of. We actually don't have that many scenes together though, so but that would have been cool.
They do, they have a kind of a gross one in Dark Age, but
I was gonna say, I was like spoil, which we are assuming everyone watching this has read all the way to Dark Age. That
considering this is coming out after Lightbringer.
I was so pleased when Flora knocked him over it.
I know.
For those that haven't seen it, my hamster did like half
So
of Bedlam
good.
was her. I had the characters from that are still alive in Dark Age as little cards, and I put her in a hamster ball, and she sort of predicts who's going to live and die in Lightbringer, and she went for Adris. I was quite pleased with that.
And Lilith, I was pretty happy with who she
I was
opted
happy with
for.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was
like
anyone
that process.
Yeah, like Mustang got pushed back a whole bunch and then didn't fall down. I think the Telemanuses got like pushed but not, but did not fall. And then
I swear I didn't cheat. I didn't glue them down or anything. Like, she could have knocked anyone over. But yeah, she went for Quicksilver. Quicksilver died. I mean, you know, he's had.
We like him, but
I like him, but yeah. I don't think her predictions are accurate, though. I think people got off quite lightly with her. There were only 5 deaths.
Yeah.
And they were all characters that we didn't really like. So
yeah.
I wish she was accurate, but I don't think she will be.
I mean, okay, listen, there's a den conspiracy theory that Pierce does not write the books, but his dog Io does.
Oh, yeah.
Which is then why Sophocles is actually who Red God is. So for all we know, Io has talked to Flora, and there's, you know, we could work her into this. Yes, exactly. You know, they might be in cahoots over there. I'm just saying. Possibly. We don't know what animals are doing at night.
I know what Flora's doing. She's on a wheel like the whole time.
I was gonna say hamsters are nocturnal, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, back to recording. That must be interesting. If you're doing an emotional scene and then you just got the director versus like.
Yeah. It's difficult and also, but the director's also having to give you technical advice as well, like, you know, in case your levels are wrong or something. Yeah, like I said, it would be nice if we were all in the same room, but somehow it all comes together and sounds like we were anyway. And I think when you know the book really well, and I mean, the voice acting world is smaller than people perhaps think. There's a lot of people that call themselves voice actors, but the amount of people that are actually doing it professionally, you know, I do know some of these guys, you know, I've worked with them in different things, so you almost kind of know, you can imagine how that actor might deliver the line as well. I often wonder, like, would the scene be different? Would it be better? It might even be worse. I don't know.
Maybe playing off somebody too much or whatever. Who knows?
Or if they don't look like the character, like if you're in the same room with them and they don't look anything like the character.
Yeah, you're not into it. Interesting. I like that.
But what I love about the graphic audio directors, though, is they somehow seem to know how much direction to give you, like when to just trust you that you've done your preparation and you're an actor and you do this for a living, and they know sort of when to let you just flow, and then when to step in and be like, I kind of imagined it this way. And Dave and I, he gives great direction. Apparently this is his first time directing as well. You wouldn't know because he was really good. But we had a difference in approach to the final scene in Golden Sun. I imagine Mustang not getting quite as emotional, like still being quite distant and sort of taking it in. But he wanted me to be much more emotional, and actually, golly damn it, he was right, because I think he is her weakness. Like, if she's going to ever get upset, it would be in that moment. And, you know, you kind of can be like, oh, I know how I'm going to play this scene. Like, it's obviously the right way. And then the director will throw something at you and you're like, oh, wait, no, that is way better than what I was going to do. So you've got to be, you do all this preparation, you do all this, like, homework, and you're like a detective, you're going through the script or the book and looking for, you know, data that you can use to make your performance better. But then when you actually get in the booth or you set foot on stage or on the film set, you kind of throw all that out the window and just hope that it's somehow in your muscle memory and that it somehow comes out when it needs to. But you've got to be willing to be responsive and receptive to the direction you're given. And it's an actor cliche, but like, acting is reacting. So like, if you are playing alongside another actor, you've got to be listening to what they're listening to what they're doing and be willing to do something that you didn't think you would do.
Interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Well, and especially it must be because you're picking up the source material from written word, and so yeah, whatever that tone is, it's sometimes not exactly maybe how you thought it would be until someone else puts a different perspective of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that because we're always having arguments, aren't we, as fans, about what
Yeah.
something means or how we see a particular character, or you get those fan castings and someone thinks that, you know, Henry Cavill should play Cassius, and then another person thinks that's ridiculous. You know,
Yeah.
we're all reading the exact same thing, and yet we all come with different
Yeah.
different conclusions at the end of it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point of, it's really funny to me how much, I would say Roke and Cassius are the two big ones that people love or hate. And, to call
I
it, I
don't
think
like
it's,
either of them.
oh, okay,
I
let's
don't
go,
particularly like either of them.
yeah.
I definitely don't like Rogue.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't understand why he was even such a great friend, because what did he actually do? Just sort of
Like,
tag
he's just
along?
there, talking in the background all the
Yeah.
time.
He
He's
was
just
the
one of those little,
narrator.
yeah, he was like the bard that writes everything down, you know, like, you know,
Yeah.
the hero's
He's
doing,
Dandelion.
which, you know, is
Yeah.
a useful thing. It's just the way that he's just so morally smug and sanctimonious, but he never applies that to his own behaviour. Like, he's talks about loyalty and stuff, but then he throws his friends under the bus,
Yeah.
and just that, the thing that gets me is that on the way to the triumph, he's having, you know, polite chit chat with the gang, knowing full well what's about to happen. That is sociopathic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's no justification for that, in my opinion. But I'm sure
Yeah.
that there are loads of people that get very passionate about
Yeah.
Rogue and love him.
Well, I think
And
it's is it Hurricane? No,
Scarlet.
it's Scarlet and Chief and a
We
few
love you,
other
Scarlet.
people. We love you, but like it's
Great
interesting
reviews on
of
Rogue.
I've just pissed them off then.
no, she's fine. She understood, but it was interesting. Her perspective is they had their own little group that they knew in real life, read the books. So all of them liked Roke and then joined the Howler's Den and was like, what do you mean that everyone hates?
Yeah.
Like, it was this like, oh my God. And it's funny because like I have a different group of friends that I knew based off Twitter before joining the Howler's Den. And I wonder how many of us share identical looks and views on people because that's who you talked about the books with. And now going into the Howler's Den with, I think we're up to like 350 people where it's like, oh, like that's not like Victra is not the end all be all. I don't understand. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not saying Darrow was a great friend to Rogue or that he treated
No.
Rogue well. I certainly don't think he did, but yeah.
I just don't get like you're so mad about Quinn's death and then you side with the murderer.
The people that killed her. I know.
Like what? What? But yeah. All right. Well then, Cassius. Have you heard our dolphin theory yet?
I've seen the emoji or like laughing dolphin thing. I'm like, what is that about? No.
And actually, you're in England, so you might actually know Catherine Ryan, the comedian who is Canadian, but is out of she's in the UK comedy circles with Jimmy Carr and all of her. So it's her that I am paraphrasing. That is, so her whole thing is all men, but I just go with certain men. They're great on vacation. They're a dolphin. They're great on vacation. You enjoy them. You have fun, but you don't bring them home. What do you even feed them? Like, no, you leave them on vacation. And that's my Cassius of like, sure, he's good. He's fine. He's fun to be around. He's good looking, but I don't want him around permanently. Like, what is he doing here?
I just imagine him to be just so attractive that it's just kind of annoying as well. Like you're just too good looking.
Yeah.
And I would love there to be a spin-off series with like the time that Mustang and Cassius were together. And, you know, and it would be like a smutty romance novel kind of style of writing. I think maybe I should write it.
This is why we have
Hey,
fan fiction.
there's a lot of fan fiction forums.
Yeah.
Is
Yep.
it? Ah.
Yep.
I just think, like,
AO3.
that would be like. I mean, I know. In Golden Sun, she tells Darrow how terrible it was, but I'm like, was it really?
Was
I mean,
it, honey?
he's-
With that
Yeah,
face?
he's not that bad looking.
No.
Probably took you on nice dinners, you know.
Yeah.
Took you to the fairground when you were goldfish. I don't know. Probably all those, sweet things that men do.
Yeah. Well, and we know through Iron Gold, we get the flashback of. Well, first we get the flashback of Lysander and Cassius kind of meeting when Lysander's 10, and his memory though is that like Cassius is like looking up Mustang like she's a piece of meat or whatever, like. But then
when
like
he doesn't like it, does he? He gets annoyed.
yeah. But then like you do kind of get those interesting mixes of like every once in a while of like, oh yeah, they were together, like.
Yeah, they were definitely. How do you think Lysander is going to react to Mustang now? Like in the because they don't meet in Dark Age, do they? I don't think adult Lysander.
No,
I
don't think so.
Mustang hasn't probably seen Lysander since he was
for 10 years, and he idolized her in the same way he idolized. Well, I mean, wrote her poetry and things, which is probably why she. I know.
Oh, he had a little boy crush. That's a guarantee.
Yeah.
Like how does he feel about her now though? Like.
Yeah.
I guess you guys probably already know the answer to
that.
I mean, he does talk about
or deny.
In Dark Age. He talks about the manners of Alexander and Rona, and how if this is how manners have become, like he shudders to think how the Palatine looks under Virginia's rule.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
So he's not so rosy about her anymore.
You know, trying to make things better.
Yeah,
he's just stuck in the past, Lysander.
And like weirdly in the past that he's like, don't like judge me because I'm a loon, but also like listen to me because I'm a loon, and I'm like, you can't have both.
Yeah, you
either
can't have it both ways.
Like be technically the most, I don't want to say powerful person, but like, you know, technically, you know, to inherit the person who will inherit the solar system. Either be that person or don't be. Like, stop with this like back and forth.
It's funny because I literally recorded Lysander's lines in Golden Sun today, and the way that he like you said, he idolizes Darrow. Like, why would he look up to Darrow? Like, what is it about Darrow that sort of inspires him? I don't know. It does sound like
he's a badass.
To be fair, that to Lysander, it does sound like he was kind of a bit of an abused child. Like they were doing all sorts of weird experiments
brainwashed,
on him and, testing him, and so you know, I can forgive him for some things.
Literally brainwashed. I keep throwing around the term brainwashed in the den because of the stupid peach. I claim that everybody who worships.
What is the peach?
Okay, so I'll explain to you and those who are listening that are not in the den. When you join, like if a new person joins the den, you get to wave to them, and it does a random reaction. I think there's 4 or 5 different reactions. And the peach, it's a terrifying thing. I was the number one person who was like, this thing is terrifying because it like shakes and then it has no pupils. Like its eyes are just white, and people love it. And in fact, we have a howler named Peach because when she joined, it was like the number one thing that everyone was like, I got the peach, and she was like, well, it's because I'm such a peach, and she's the fastest named howler because we were like, well, congrats, you're Peach.
And I think even from Georgia,
yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
Even I know that Georgia's famous for its peaches.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just become this thing in the den of there's people who every time they wave, like, worship and pray to the peach that they can get the peach, and then those of us who are like, it is a terrifying, demonic, like, it's got no pupils. It just shakes, like, in comparison to the one that, like, spins and says
so
sap.
excited.
It's
so
just...
excited.
But yeah, and then I am also the one who named it. So forever, so Pegasus Legion, who are moderators, that's who names everybody or has a say in naming. I don't name people. I only veto the bad names. But the ongoing joke is we were going to name somebody Steve. Of like, everyone's got these cool, intricate names and just waiting for the one to show up and let's go, yeah, you're Steve. like we just wanted to give...
There's a great comedy sketch in there somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Howlers assemble!
Yeah, so they were talking
Steve.
about... Yeah, exactly. Like, so then we were talking about the peach, and I was like, listen, we've always wanted to name a howler Steve. I'm just going to name the peach Steve. But then decided Steve is, in fact, a girl. And it just has gone, and it's become this thing of its own that every once in a while when people are joining, and I feel like they're probably, their first thing is like all these cute, like, waving, and then all these people arguing about the peach. That I'm like, what message are we sending here? Like, what is happening? Yeah. Yeah. Steve is a controversial, probably the most controversial character outside of... No, I would say the most, like, we haven't fought over anyone else in the Red Rising universe as much as the love and hate for Steve. EO is actually the other one. But yeah, sorry, go on, Crescent.
So we know you've worked on Sons of Ares 3, and then the Red Rising saga. What other graphic audio productions have you been in?
I've been in... let me bring out my thing and actually tell you because I tend to forget. I've done a lot for Rirria Chronicles.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in... I'm in one called Heroes Road, which is really good, by Chuck Rogers. I play a character called Theus in that. That's fun. I work a lot with Scott McCormick, the director, and Scott, bless him, I think he's sort of responsible for me getting a lot of the roles I did because I think he's championed me or like recommended me to other people, bless him. So like I owe him a beer or two. I was in a series called War Machine, Terra Ignota. What else have I done? Shadows Fall. Lots of things by Simon R. Green. Scott adapts a lot of Simon's books, so yeah. But often I'll just I'll be playing like a relatively minor character, but sometimes the minor characters, the smaller characters, are kind of just as fun because you can take more of a risk with them, or you can play around more and just do something that because you know you're not going to be in the next scene, so you know. Make the most of the scene you have and just do something fun.
Yeah.
So,
just really go big with it.
There's no such thing as a small role. Yeah.
Do you have a dream
have
role?
You done anything?
I'm playing it.
Oh, yeah?
Ooh,
I was going to say.
good answer.
Like
yeah.
It's the right podcast to give that answer on.
Yeah. They'll like it for that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done anything with Stormlight?
No. I actually been told to read that.
I recommend.
I've done a few of the Sarah... I've forgotten the name.
Sarah J. Maas?
Yeah, Court of Wings and Ruin.
Yeah.
I've had little random bits and pieces in those books, which they seem very, very popular.
They're very popular. Even in the Den, there's a lot of people who will.
Yeah.
So we know that right now the video game for Red Rising is in the works, and Pierce's last thing was it's currently held up because of the writer's strike, but it is currently in the works. So if offered, would you do the video game?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I love video games. Hugely fun. Although you have to like get good at dying in various different ways for video games. Like you
gotta work on your scream.
If you were on, like, obviously not for Mustang, but like generally in games you have to like Die as if you were caught on fire. Die as if you dying from poison gas. Die as if you were drowning. Die as if you were stabbed with a little sword. Die if you were stabbed by a big sword. You know, it's just like a spreadsheet of like death.
A laundry list of
Pretty
maladies.
much.
Which, I mean, Mustang at the Institute would definitely be some of those, at least. Stabbings would be in there.
Mm-hmm.
Can we hear a sample of how you might die in one way or another?
No.
You don't have to. No pressure.
I would do it more realistically than that, but
yeah.
The funny thing is, like, sometimes when you die, like, it can sound a bit sexual sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
In another context, you'd use that sample for something else.
Yeah.
Those are the worst scenes to do. Is like when you're having to like pretend like you're having sex with the other character or you're making out with them. It's so cringe to record. But you've got to go for it. You've got to commit. Otherwise, it sounds even worse.
Just do it. Well, because we get, at least Pierce for the most part writes just fate. What their fate to Obsidian. That's why we have this podcast. So you don't. But Golden Sun does have the Mustang climbing on top of Darrow in the hospital bed.
Ripping clothes off. Yeah, Dave was like, now can you do a sound as if you were just like ripping your clothes off? And I was like, okay. But yeah, this is the thing, like you're having to like do all these physicalizations, is that word?
Yeah.
I don't know. In the confines of your little booth, you know, you've got to sound like you're riding a horse or jumping and like leaping at someone, and you've got to do it all whilst kind of remaining quite still because I have a very sensitive microphone and it picks up, you know, your clothes moving and, you know, you've got to sort of stay on the axis of the mic so it picks up your voice, but you've also got to sound like you're moving and you've got to find ways of kind of getting that physicality into your body and into your voice somehow without actually moving, jiggling up and down. So
interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that.
I didn't know
you're not moving, like.
No. Yeah. It'd be different if you're doing like motion capture or something. You move a bit more, but because you get head mounted mics. But for what we do, it's all sort of relatively static. But yeah, I didn't know there was going to be a game, and I'm very pleased with that because I actually think it would make a better game than it would almost make a TV series. I'm in two minds about the TV series thing because I feel like it would be so difficult to make the sort of physical differences between the characters not look really like children and like in The Hobbit, you know, with like the kiddies and the adults. It would just look
I'm of the opinion that animation would be the best way to adapt it. Like
I agree.
I don't know if you've seen League of Legends Arcane.
I have it on my favorites. I've been meaning to watch it, but I know the style you mean.
It's very, very good, but I think that style of animation would lend itself really well. But actually, Darrow's Rising on Instagram, if you're watching this, shout out, posted, it might have been today, that they thought that a video game is the absolute best way for it to be adapted, because then you can experience it rather than being told it.
I can just imagine doing the Iron Rain on the screen. Like,
I was gonna say
all the bodies and things, and like,
And there is a scene in Dark Age, and I have not. So my story with Dark Age is I read it 2019 when it came out, and not yet. So it's almost like I'm experiencing it again for the first time right now. But I believe it is Victra in one of the mines and going around and she's jumping around. Yeah. And in my mind, when I first read that, immediately I was in my head as a video game of like, oh yeah, like that was my immediate reaction, was like, this scene will make the best video game, because it's just I'm glad I remember that perfectly. I was waiting for somebody, like for Kristen, to be like, that's not a thing. What are you talking about?
Lyria talks about how she'll jump 2 levels down and then jump 1 up and just, murdering all of these
you'd probably
reds.
be playing Lyria and having to try and catch up with
Victra.
Yeah, you're having to, take cover and not die. Meanwhile, watching Victra just like demolish everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good. And I guess like if your character dies, then like the Reaper can come and like put his sign and go.
You are in the Vale now.
And send you to the Vale.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Vale.
Welcome to the Vale.
I like it. Yeah, it would be. I'm super excited for video game. So, and obviously you play because you said that Final Fantasy is what kicked this all off. Do you still continue to play and enjoy?
Yeah, I have to be a bit careful though because I can tend to get like really obsessed with a video game and like I'll just play it for like, and I'll realize like it's now nighttime and I've been playing for like 5 hours. But yeah, I really like the Assassin's Creed games.
Yes.
Big Tomb Raider fan. I used to say dream roles. I'd love to do Lara Croft. Like I'm a huge Tomb Raider fan. Assassin's Creed, Horizon Zero Dawn.
We are on the exact same page here. Yeah. I love
Metal
it.
Gear Solid.
Legend of Zelda.
I haven't tried that one yet. No. I'm working through the Assassin's Creed slowly.
Oh my god. That was, for a bit, I was challenged. So I think I own them all and now haven't played that. Someone once challenged me to play through all of them on Twitch. And I didn't. I haven't played a single one. All of Assassin's Creed. That was in the middle of COVID.
That's
someone was like,
get a bit samey though after a while.
They do. And it's a lot of like,
take another fortress.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I need a higher level. Let me go level up, rather than Horizon Zero Dawn is probably my ultimate favorite because even the side quests are so like they're their own stories in not the same way. Rather than like even The Witcher, they're good, but it's like, oh no, it's very similar to that side quest. But Horizon Zero Dawn's got the like, oh, they're all their individual world. Yeah.
I haven't played the Forbidden. Is it Forbidden West?
Forbidden West.
Yeah.
I haven't played that yet.
It's good.
I'm really tight. I just wait till they come down in price and buy them when they're like 20 quid.
That's fair. Yeah.
PlayStation Plus has been very good for that because Forbidden West is like I didn't buy it, but it's like I have it downloaded ready to play.
That was the first ever thing I did on Twitch. Was Forbidden West, and people got to watch me very frustrated at the end. It took me 2 days.
It was difficult.
Yeah. It took me 2 days to complete the final one, and
they plug your thing into the mechanical thing to make it tame. I can't even remember now. It was quite like Tomb Raider in places though, like bow and arrows.
And the puzzles. I really like when there's the puzzle ones where you have to like figure out like, okay, if I move this to here, then this to here, then fun. Yeah. But so I mean, Final Fantasies are still coming out, and we have a new Kingdom Hearts coming out. So for all we know, you get to play. I love Kingdom Hearts. So sorry, which one was that?
Final Fantasy 16 comes out next week.
I've kind of lost. I stopped playing after like Final Fantasy X2 or something, and probably when around about the time when they went online, and I didn't really do PC gaming much. So I'm kind of out of touch with the Final Fantasy franchise now. I still like the old ones. I'm going to play the Final Fantasy VII remake at some point as well.
Yeah,
it's quite good.
But it's not finished, is it? They haven't. It's only part of the game.
It's only up to basically where you. Some of it's changed, but it's basically the end of I think Act 1.
Well, maybe for Final Fantasy 17 or Kingdom Hearts 4, they'll get you into.
I'd love to do that.
I'm trying to think what great Disney player or Disney character you would play. Can you do Scottish? Could you be Merida and Brave? No.
I suck at Scottish accents. It's one of those ones that comes up a lot, and I'm like, I just can't do it.
You can't do it.
It starts going a bit Irish, and then it starts going a bit Caribbean or something. I don't know. Like I don't know what. what area of the world it's supposed to be, but
Yeah.
definitely not Scottish. I can do it like when I'm taking the piss out of someone, like Fat Bastard from Austin Powers, like, I'm really sexy, I can do that kind of voice, but I can't actually do like a normal person speaking.
Yeah. Do you often have to do
Yeah.
accents? Like, or are
Yeah.
you usually based in, okay, so can you do like American or Australian or Canadian? Not that Canadian and American are that different, but
I find it really difficult to tell the difference, I'm afraid,
That's
between
okay.
Canadian and American. Yeah.
So do we.
Yeah, I do.
Unless
Yeah.
it's like
Good.
deep south.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's different pockets of the US that sound different than, and like Canada, as big as we are, we all have this, like me and Crescent are
That is the big
currently,
difference between the UK and, like, in the UK we have little counties, and, like, you know, the next county is about half an hour away, sometimes, or an hour away, but the accent can be completely different. So we have all these
yeah.
different regional accents. So I get a fair bit of work doing sort of regional British
Oh, okay.
accents as well. But I have
Yeah.
like a generic American accent that I break out occasionally for video games, and
Yeah.
yeah, Irish is quite common to do. Eastern European I get occasionally. Generic Eastern Europeans coming from somewhere.
Somewhere over there.
Poland, Russia,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Could you do Volga? She's like Swedish, right? Like we always
Yeah, like Scandinavian.
Scandinavian.
I could give it a shot, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things, like, I like to go away and like study an accent, and if I study it for long enough, I can usually kind of get it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, England always fascinates me that it's like you can nail right on the head, like this is this person from like whatever region there is. And US has at least their pockets, but yeah, us and Canada, like me and Crescent are what, 5,000 kilometers apart and have the same accent.
No, I think it's only like 2,400.
Oh, okay. Well, 2,400
It's only-
kilometers
Only
apart
2,400.
and have the
I always
same
think it's really
accent.
funny when somebody from a foreign country has learned English, but they've learned English from someone with a weird accent, like, or from a certain region.
Oh, yeah.
Slightly French, but with like a bit of Lancashire or a bit
Yeah.
of like Northern Ireland, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, like what happened here? Yeah,
I'm
that's really
fascinated by
funny.
accents. I love listening to people's voices and accents. That's one of the reasons why I don't like listening to audiobooks myself, because I get like really, like, it takes me out of the story because I'm like fascinated by the narrator's voice, or I'm wondering what microphone they're using, or sort of,
Yeah.
So I prefer to read, or audio drama is good because you've got the music and the sound effects to kind of get your imagination going. But
Well, it always fascinates to me of the idea of, especially in the English language, of what each accent means to our own brain. So like, and then putting that into Red Rising, like it is never stated that the Golds have British accents, but it's just assumed because our own brain has gone, that's
posh.
who that's the posh, you guys are the higher,
it's the gold
yeah,
standard accent.
yeah, exactly. So it's always interesting to me
is it the
that
standard
like,
gold accent?
but and whichever
Don't get me
specific
started on your
British one.
spellings in your country as well. Like, you corrupted all our spellings.
No,
like,
we're
No, hey,
we're Canadian. We're Canadian. We have the U. We have the U.
okay.
And
Yeah.
we will sometimes, when I'm messaging in the den and we'll talk about honor, I will purposely put the U of like, it is my, and I'll capitalize the U. It was my honor to do this, and I'll capitalize it. And they're like, we see you. Yeah, we have your spellings.
It's her favorite thing to do.
It is my favorite, I can't stress a U in language, favorite thing thing to do. Yeah.
I think Pierce did confirm that the Orient were British, I think. He did
Yeah,
say,
it makes
and
sense.
No, he said it's kind of like all a melting pot.
Oh.
You know, like, it's kind of just...
Yeah, all we know is
language has
all I know is that
just...
Dave, the director, was pretty
on
clear that the Orient would probably be
British. Yeah.
Brits.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense to like to split it up like that.
Yeah.
So you get a bit
on
of
that
an audio
podcast
cue.
that he did with you, didn't he say that, like, that the characters in the Rim were like a combination of South African and Japanese, and I emailed Dave and I said, "Good luck casting those roles."
If you listen to kind of the third quarter of Morningstar, Tim Gerard Reynolds does a pretty decent, at least to my ear, does a pretty decent mix. It's certainly more South African than it is Japanese, but
I haven't listened to Tim's books. I've listened to the little samples, but I know that everyone loves him, and people are like, oh, why are you doing another book without Tim in it? Why isn't Tim in it?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would have been absolutely thrilled to hear that Tim Gerard Reynolds had been cast as Darrow in the graphic audio.
Yeah.
Although I think Stuart sounds a bit younger, though. He sounds.
I was
like
gonna
that.
say Tim's getting older.
I don't disagree with you.
Tim sounds like adult Darrow, but like
yeah,
it's easy to forget that in that first book they're only 17 and 18, and I think
yeah, for sure.
Different strokes for different folks, isn't it?
Yeah. But no, it's always interesting.
Do we know with Lightbringers is people saying it's just Tim doing the?
That's the rumor.
Apparently, Pierce confirmed it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, somebody posted a link to it. Can't remember if it was on Instagram, but they posted a link to an interview that Pierce did recently that confirmed it was just TGR.
Which is interesting, and this is, I don't think, spoiled just a touch, but there is continues to be the different point of views. So it is interesting if we've reduced that down to one person.
Yeah.
That again, it's not a spoiler to say that the Dark Age characters, obviously poor Ephraim is gone, but we continue to have Darrow, Lysander, Lyria, and Mustang, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. They've gone like they must have had feedback about the other people just wanted Tim to do everything.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and Lysander's voice actor changes.
So does Lyria's.
I think. Yeah, I've heard.
Oh yeah, that's right.
1 minute she was Irish, and then she was from Essex or something.
No, you never know.
It's not always the voice actor's fault though. Like
no.
Sometimes you got the job, you were cast, for what you did in the audition, and yeah, sometimes it can feel like you've been thrown under the bus a bit if the fans don't like what you've done, but it wasn't like you're just doing the best you can and responding to the direction you're given.
Yeah.
I've had a few jobs like that where I've submitted like multiple takes of something, like it done a different accent or something, and I'd be like, well, they're never going to pick this one, but I'll just throw it in the mix anyway, and that's the one they go for, your least favourite take.
Oh.
And that's the one that gets put out there, and you're like, I kind of wish they'd gone for that one. But yeah, you don't always have that much control over, like for Golden Sun, sometimes I'll do a couple of different takes of the line, and you'll think, oh, they're definitely going to use that one, but then it's not always the one that ends up in the final thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so how long does it take you to record? So if I'm trying to think how long the audiobooks are, and it doesn't matter because you're not reading the whole thing. But like how many different takes do you do approximately, like on average?
The graphic audio thing it's quite pacey, like generally you just do your thing, and if they want you to do another take, they'll tell you. However, I am a notorious perfectionist, and I would like to do every line like 20 different times in 20 different ways, but realistically, nobody's got time for that, and probably the first one was probably just fine, but yeah, I'm always like, oh, maybe if I tried this way, or but time is money, and you've got to deliver within 1 or 2 takes, and that's the same with every client you have. If you're on to a 3rd or 4th take and you've still not got it, they're probably not going to ask you back again in the future, because you've wasted their time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Interesting. Yeah.
part of why you train and why you practice and why you do all the preparation, so that you can make it look like it was totally effortless.
Yeah.
When actually it wasn't.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you're being paid for 8 hours of time, but you're getting paid for you know, the 10, 15, 20 years of work that you've
Absolutely.
put into your
Yeah.
craft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our industry is, it can be a bit of a race to the bottom. There's always voice actors undercutting and
Ooh.
doing it for less money, and then there's obviously the threat from AI that we've got to contend with as well, which a lot of artists, a lot of violets out there, probably a little worried about how they're going to
Yeah.
earn a living in the future, because the AI is getting quite good.
Yeah. Well, we talked about
I'm with
that with.
Nero.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
with
Sorry.
Nero.
Go.
Like, the robots are bad. We shouldn't have
Yeah.
robots.
Yeah.
Ban the robots.
Yeah. Well, we talked to
But yeah.
Pierce about that AI of, he was like, listen,
Yeah.
we're going to get to a point that you just put in whatever and you're going to get that story and it'll be in his same style of writing that it'll feel like
Yeah.
he's written it. And I
Yeah,
already know
you're
that
gonna have to
there's,
put organic book
yes,
on the
like,
cover.
which is, well, I could get into a whole
That's
bookseller
dystopian
thing
as
that,
fuck.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, because people didn't like him posting that AI thing, did they? They sort of divided
Oh,
the Instagram, the trailer thing
oh,
that somebody donated.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was
oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting world we're getting into, and blurred lines for sure of what's for fun, what's not, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And people have used, because I mean Pierce has done so many Q&As that there is in fact people have AI'd chunks of Red Rising spoken in Pierce's voice.
See, that is just weird. And I have this now. My agents encouraged me to do this. I have it written into all my contracts now that my voice is not to be used to feed these machine learning
Yeah.
algorithms, because they could essentially clone your voice and make you say anything that you didn't actually
Yeah.
say, and
yeah.
then I'm out of a job and
Yeah.
potentially getting myself into trouble because
Yeah.
saying all sorts of things. And yeah, it's scary. How do you copyright a voice?
Yeah. It's super interesting of we're getting into that realm and
But then it might get so people might get so sick of it that they want to go back to the feel of like an actual book, and it might sort of backfire and people want to go back to the
yeah.
simpler times when have things that are homemade and
For sure.
yeah.
And like again, I've been in the book industry for 10 years now and you gave your disclaimer. Mine is that yes, I am a employee of Indigo, but all opinions of my own. But when I started a decade ago working as a bookseller, it was in the height of e-readers. And it was this very much pushed upon us of we know that the e-reader world is going to take over and nobody's going to like the printed, books. And so we've got to learn to adapt to that. And that's why Indigo, Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, they've all got their version of an e-reader that they came out with so that they could start taking some of those profits. And then it never happened. E-reader took over 17% of the market and that's it. And so it's I think that there's those people who were like, "No, I don't want, this new technology. I want my classic book." And I think we'll probably see that with AI of like, "No, I want to be able to connect to the actual author and to the person writing this in comparison to, just having a robot do it."
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Though I must admit, like, when you get to books that are as big as Dark Age, like having to hold it up when you're in bed, like reading, it really hurts your wrist.
I
know. So
know.
the e-books are useful then, or when you're going on holiday and you don't.
I was going to say holiday is probably the number one
Yeah.
use of them is holiday. And now a lot of them are waterproof that people are like, well, I'm going to take it to the beach like or read in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I still sell e-readers day to day. And the number one thing is we're like, this one's waterproof.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting world we're heading into, but we
Yes.
shall see what we navigate.
Indeed. Indeed. Is there anything else you want to ask me, or like any
I'm just
Mustang questions or
Ooh.
favorite?
Can you say something
Mustang
hilarious?
bits?
Yeah,
As
can you
Mustang?
do like pretend to be Mustang and say, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Can't think of anything other than just like gory hell. Gory hell. Yeah. She says, Darrow, are you okay? Like a lot. Like, are you okay, Darrow? Like, and he never asks her if she's okay. Like, hardly ever. It's always like, Darrow, are you okay?
Yeah, you
He's
must
not
pick
usually
up
okay
on
either.
like yeah. You must pick up on those nuances of how one-sided conversations might be or anything like that because you're looking at it.
Well, he's definitely the emotional one of the relationship, isn't he? I think.
Yes.
Oh, for
He
sure.
probably cries more than she does, I'd say.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Several are very like wet bread indeed.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I was just looking at, we had put it out to the rest of the moderators and we've covered what they had to ask.
Excellent.
We've just done
How efficient.
just so well. Yeah.
Classic Mustang style. Tick all those boxes.
It.
Get
We're
shit
great.
done. That's what I love about her. She gets shit done.
Yes. That's, yeah. She's one of, I would say, one of the strongest characters in sci-fi fantasy, and I just love her for that. Yeah. It's great. Well, then on that note, thank you so much for joining us. And it is now, 1:30 your time. So thank you so much.
We've just I've just gotten off work. Skipper is like a few hours removed and you're staying up late to
I know.
to
I was
chat
like,
with
I
us.
just woke
So,
up from a
thank you very
nap.
much.
And like, you were so great that you agreed
Yeah,
to
like
this one.
oh.
Yeah.
I'm a night owl anyway. Like I said, I'd be doom scrolling on Twitter or something. So
yeah,
no, it's my pleasure. I'm always happy to geek out on Red Rising.
Yeah,
because I don't have enough people in my life that have read the books yet. So
yeah,
it's very nice to be able to debrief with people. And thank you for helping me with that scene as well, because there was a scene, the boardroom war room scene. I was really struggling to like get my head around it. I was like, am I overthinking this? But I reached out to you guys and you gave me some advice. So hopefully that scene turns out well.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to it being like, what happened here? Well, yeah, so moving forward, so this episode's going to come out actually in August when Lightbringer, we have a whole bunch of what we're calling the filler episodes because what do we do in August when Lightbringer is out and nobody can read it or talk about it or...
put out a bunch of spoilers.
There's an embargo.
Right after it.
Yeah. But then we're going to do a read through of Lightbringer with everybody. But the plan for after Lightbringer, so probably we're looking at October is my guess, is we're going to dissect relationships. And it would be great to have you back on when we're talking kind of the whole series. What is the Darrow Mustang relationship? Or some of the other characters, whoever else you feel connected to.
Let's not
pigeonhole you here. Let's not
talk about Mustang. If you want to come on and talk, Adrius and Lilith.
I feel like I've got a lot to say about Adrius because as psychologists we love a twin study.
Yep.
Because it's like the perfect nature nurture thing, isn't it? So yeah, I'm fascinated by that dynamic
and we've discussed that we'll definitely have a siblings episode of, especially the twins, of you get Adrius and Virginia versus Cassius and Julian, and then not twins but Trig and Holiday being siblings. So it'd be great to have you on for that one. There you go.
Of course, happy to put my psychology hat on and psychoanalyze all these characters.
It'd be fabulous.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been fabulous. I love it. And thank you so much for interacting how much you are in the den. It is the moment you joined, it was like, and this morning me and you were talking different Irish folk songs and I was like, this is great. I love this.
No, I'm a howler too. Yeah. Howlers for life.
Yeah, it was.
Hello everyone in the den.
It was awesome watching you come into the den and people just collectively, as soon as they found out who you are, just collectively freaking out.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Oh yes.
With,
Yeah, there's a few
Octavia head and my thing, and like I am.
Yeah. There was a few. It was pretty funny. I got side messages of like, do you realize? And I was like, yes, I know why she's, because we hadn't said that we were going to record with you. So there's a few people who were like side messaging of like, do you know who that is? And I was like, I'm yep, fully aware. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, there was a little bit of when I did my welcome message to you, it was part of it was like, yes, we know why you're here. Everyone else, this is why Jenna is here.
Yeah, so you're the minus celebrity in there. Yeah.
Oh god.
Good fun.
That's so cringe.
No, it's great. It's great.
I'm just a fan as well.
Bold called us minor celebrities too, and we both felt exactly the same way. So
yeah, Bold told us that we have to sign something when we're in Tulsa. She's like, I'm gonna ask for your autograph, and I was like, no.
Gotta practice my autograph then.
Yeah, I don't. I've never even been asked for my autograph. Yeah.
Well, you show up to something the Howlers are at, I bet you're gonna have to sign something.
Oh.
Yeah, especially now that you've been on here on camera.
Yes,
they now know what you look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer hiding behind my microphone usually. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had a few nice messages from people as well that have enjoyed my performance. So that it does mean a lot, because like this job can be very difficult. You get a lot of rejection because obviously the standard is so high. There's some amazing voice actors out there, and there's often only one part, and often you don't get it. More often than not, you don't get the part that you go for. So when you do, and when you get to play a character like this that's just so wonderful, and the writing is so wonderful as well, that you really want to do it justice. And I take the responsibility of playing her very, very seriously, and it's a privilege, but it's kind of scary too, because you want to. She's my favorite character now as well, so you want to do it justice, and
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, and you've done a beautiful.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for Golden Sun to come out, so that we can hear more of you, and we'll have to get Sons of Aries as of today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not actually. Harmony doesn't have that many lines in it.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But
I still haven't. I haven't even read. Well, I've got 1 and 2, but Volume 3 has been hard to actually find in Canada, so I haven't. He has it because he used the competition. Yeah. So I'm still trying to get my hands on it.
There is a really interesting scene in it which I didn't notice. Mustang is actually in it as a child with Adrius, and they're present when their father is watching a holo from Aries about some destruction that's happening in one of the mines, I think.
Interesting.
And I just thought that's really interesting that Mustang watched that and saw her father basically being a dick, like watching his workers all. And you think, that's one of those childhood memories that might have stuck with her and might have been one of the things that makes her turn out different to Adrius, but that Adrius is watching it too. And maybe because she's always been a reformer, hasn't she? Like she's always wanted to make things better, and why is she like that, and why is Adrius not? That's
Telemanos.
It could have been. Yeah.
But yes, we have an ongoing theory of it's all the Telemanos is influence.
That's exactly what I think. Yeah, that I think that absolutely is what I came to as well.
Yeah,
we have a saying on the podcast. There's no therapy in space, except for the Telemasters.
They're the closest thing to. They're so great.
R.I.P. Pax. R.I.P. Daxo.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
Don't die, Cavax. Just stay alive.
I know. And stop getting kidnapped. Like, can you
quit being the damsel in distress.
Yeah. Though I do love from that it's not a woman who always is the damsel in distress. Is he literally the largest man? I love how it's called the out. Largest man is the damsel in distress. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how he calls it out himself too.
Yeah. And Mustang has that line like when she is like she's like, oh, I'm the damsel in distress, aren't I?
I hate those girls.
Yeah.
So great.
Sorry, I keep going off on another.
No, it's great. I love it.
That's fine.
No.
We've had episodes up to 3 hours, so
Yeah, we are good. I know.
Well,
yeah.
as an actor, you've always got to leave your audience wanting more. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk
So
soon
with
then
that, I
about
guess we'll
yeah.
sign off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everybody, for listening to
Thank
this week's
you.
episode of Fade to Obsidian.
And
Catch you next time.
peace out.